Hi guys, my name is Tommy and this is On The Spot FPL. How are you? I hope you're all alright. This is my very first video for the 22-23 season. And a little bit about me, I've played FPL for well over 10 years now. And although I'm not going to say I'm an amazing player, I do think that I am quite good and quite logical and put a lot of thought into my FPL. So I thought, why not start making videos? Because my opinions and my thoughts might be able to help some of you guys. So that is what we're going to do. Now I'm going to try and get this video onto a podcast as well, so if you'd prefer to listen to it on the go, then you'll be able to find it there. I'll be able to put links and stuff in the description as and when I get them. But essentially I'm going to try and make this video unedited, so you're not going to see chops and changes and things like that. It's going to be as candid as I can. So you might get some mistakes, you might get some fluff, some bloopers in there, but they all add to the character and charm of the videos. So where are we up to? I have not looked at FPL at all other than today. And I don't know anything about price points. I know a few players' prices, but I haven't really had a massive look at FPL or the prices. And I think what I'm going to do first of all is try and make my starting version 1 Tinker team, and I was thinking about how to do this, whether I go in with all the players that I definitely want and then try and fill the gaps where my budget allows, or do I try and build a team full of non-premium players that I would be happy to swap out for my premium players that I definitely want once I've got a team of 15. Because I'm thinking if I do it that way, then I've got a team that I'm happy with. So that's what I'm going to do. Let's jump into FPL and you'll be able to see my team that I played around with this morning. I've wiped all the players out. So let's just kick off. So, Kane. Let's get rid of him first of all, and let's have a look at a nice non-premium player that can play up front. So I am going to say, let's have a look. Sort this by price first of all. So I don't want to be going for... Right, so for the time being, Haaland, Kane, Ronaldo, Vardy, they're all out. I feel sorry for Diego Jota at 9 mil. That's ridiculous. I know that he did well, but he's not a 9 mil striker. Let's have a look towards this end. Havertz, nope. Calvert-Lewin, nope. Ollie Watkins might be a good shout. I know that he was troubled with injuries last year, but let's see. What are his fixtures like for the next... See, that worries me. Game week 5, he's got Arsenal, City, then Leicester. Maybe the Leicester's not as bad as what I thought, but... Let's go for Watkins first of all. I quite like the look of Watkins. I think he's quite useful. And who did he have as his opening fixture then? Bournemouth, then Everton, then Crystal Palace. So they're actually quite good fixtures. So let's go for Watkins. I really like Newcastle, and from what I did see, I think Newcastle have got some decent fixtures. Yeah, so up to game week 10. They've got Liverpool and City. I'm wondering what the case is then for Callum Wilson. I know that he was out for a long period of time last season, but before he was injured and when he came back, he did make an impact onto the team. So, is there anyone else that catches my eye? Let's go for Wilson for the time being. And then my third striker, Martial. See, I saw Martial play this afternoon against Liverpool in the pre-season, and I know that it's pre-season, but he did look pretty good. But I don't think I can trust him. Not for the season. Not unless he absolutely smashes it in pre-season. He's got some alright fixtures. Liverpool game week 3 doesn't really help. But I think Martial's probably someone to avoid just for the time being, just until he proves himself a little bit. And Nketiah's probably a no-go because of Jesus now. Who have we got? There's not really. Mbuemo? I don't really like the look of Solanke. I think Adams is a trap. Mitrovic is a trap. I know that he scored about 97 goals last season, but he's done this before and he did nothing the last time he was in the Premier League, so I can't see him doing anything now. Although at 6.5 it is quite a good price to have. Is there anyone on page 2 that's worth looking at? Probably not. There's no one that's sticking out. There is no one that's sticking out. I think out of the people that are remaining, I quite like the look of Mbeumo. Let's have a look at his fixtures. Not Leicester. He's got the red sign there for Leicester, but I don't think that's a massively. It is away. That's a tricky game, but I don't know whether it's classed as a red rating game. He has got some quite good fixtures. Okay, that's Mbeumo at 6 or Tony at 7. What was Tony's score last year? 139 points, and what was Mbeumo's? 119. You know, guys, for the sake of 20 points, if it saves you a mil, Mbeumo's the guy, I think. So let's add him in. So there's my front 3 so far: Watkins, Wilson, and Mbeumo. I like that. Now Bruno Guimaraes, he's going in. He is a fantastic player, and I think his price point is great. He joined Newcastle last January, I think, and he completely transformed the team. I don't know how many assists he got and how many goals he got, but it was a lot for those 5 or 6 months that he was playing for the team. And Newcastle just looked like a completely different team with him in the squad. And at 6 mil, he's a no-brainer. And he's probably not going to get removed out of my squad in this draft. So that's that. Bruno Guimaraes is in. Let's have a look. Anthony Elanga was in there, but let's take him out. And let's scroll down this list again. Sancho at 7.5. Again, it's a little bit similar to Martial. I'd want to see a little bit more out of Sancho in pre-season. I think there's too many question marks, especially at 7.5. And I know that you're probably going to say, for someone of Sancho at Borussia Dortmund, 7.5 isn't very expensive. But going off last season, like I said, I'd prefer to see what Ten Hag does in pre-season with transfers, with the tactics. Maybe give him a few games before I make a decision on Sancho. Zaha, Coutinho, no. Barnes. I think Barnes is a little bit of a trap. And what is he? 7 mil. I think he's a little bit expensive. And given his opening fixtures of Arsenal, Chelsea, Man United, Tottenham, I'm going to avoid Leicester, I think. Rafinha's probably gone. He's going to Barcelona or something like that. Grealish at 7. Okay, again though, you don't know who's going to start for City. The only people that are guaranteed for City is pretty much Ederson, Cancelo and De Bruyne. Odegaard is tempting. I had Odegaard last season and he got me a lot of points, but then Arsenal suddenly dipped in form from like February to April, and he just stunk out my team a little bit. But 6.5 is quite tempting. 131 points. What are his fixtures like? He's got some good fixtures, actually. What are we? Game week 10, he meets Liverpool. He's got United. I'm quite tempted by Odegaard. I'm going to stick Do I stick Odegaard in? Let's stick him in. If I see someone further down the list, I might swap him out for someone else. But that's Guimaraes and Odegaard in so far. So let's have a look down the list again. Tielemans, I quite like Tielemans, but not last season, the season before. I thought he was quite dangerous. So this is what's caught my eye, and I know that I've said I'd like to see what United do differently, but Rashford at 6.5 intrigues me slightly, especially if he plays regularly in pre-season and they do well in pre-season. I think 6.5 for Rashford is cheap, considering the Rashford of previous seasons, not last season, but I think seasons before and the season before that. 6.5 for a player of Rashford's potential calibre is cheap, so he's on my watch list. I quite like Saint Maximin, but probably not enough to put him in. Ward-Prowse, don't really like him. Smith Rowe, Martinelli. Smith Rowe and Martinelli are great players, but again, I'd like to see whether they're going to start. You know, how is Arteta going to line up? We've got the Chelsea, Ziyech, Pulisic. Pulisic at 6 mil is cheap. Only 77 points though last season. I think there's probably better out there. We're getting down into the 6 mils now, aren't we? We're getting to Lucas Moura, Benrahma, Ramsey, Norgard. I quite like Norgard. 101 points, 5.5 mil, and they've got some pretty decent fixtures. I think I'm going to stick Norgard in. Let's see what his counterparts did. 90 points for Janelt. Wisser, he's a bit of a super sub, wanting 92. I'm going to go for Norgard. They're all the same price, so I think Norgard's the more nailed on. Let's have a look then for my fourth midfielder. Let's have another look at this. Lucas Moura. I think Kulusevski gets in the way a little bit more than Lucas Moura. And they've got Richarlison now. Is he going to play Richarlison on the right wing? I think Lucas Moura drops down the pegging order in for Spurs anyway. So he's probably one to avoid. Is there anyone else on this next list? Hudson-Odoi, Ayew, Townsend, Dele. These are all people that aren't sticking out at all. Fred, Van der Beek. I'd be interested. Again, as you can probably tell, I am a United fan. I'd be interested to see how Fred and Van der Beek do. Interesting to see how Ten Hag plays Fred. Does he play him a little bit further up the field? Which is the reason why we bought him in the first place. And he demonstrated a little bit of that last year with Ralf Rangnick. He scored a good goal today, but I'm not going to get carried away. But I think all these United players are just generating question marks in my head for the time being. So they're probably ones to watch for the first couple of weeks of the season. We've got Neves, Podence, Neto. Oh, 22. Was he injured or something last season? Again, that is my ignorance. He must have been injured to only get 22 points last season. There is really no one. There's no one attracting my attention here in this list, apart from Caicedo. So I saw Caicedo play last season, and I think last season he didn't play at all, and I think the manager gave him a run out for maybe the last 8 or 9 weeks, and I remember him looking really dangerous and exciting to watch as well. He was quite tricky on the ball. He's got a great eye. 5 mil, I think I'm going to stick him in. I quite like Caicedo at 5 mil. Where's he gone? I quite like him. He's got good fixtures as well. If you look at his fixtures, well, I say good fixtures, they're alright. But Brighton surprised us last season. And, you know, give or take these obvious ones, Liverpool, City, Chelsea, they're actually alright right up until January. Yeah, it's around this time of the season, April, that you want to be avoiding him. But, you know, I quite like that. Caicedo's going in. And then my final midfielder. Let's see what we can do. Traore, Bailey. I think I'm going to have to go back up the list, I think, to maybe these 6 and 7s. Martinelli, Smith Rowe. Again, though, there is no one that is sticking out in my mind. I don't think I can trust Coutinho. He played well for the first couple of weeks, but then he didn't really do anything, and he's got this tricky chunk here. West Ham isn't a particularly easy game either. So from game week 4 to game week 7, he's got tricky games, and I think Coutinho needs to stay out. Foden, 8 mil for Foden? 8 mil? See, at 8 mil, I'd rather go for Luis Diaz than Foden. Why would you not go for Luis Diaz? Especially now Mane's gone. So, yeah, I think I'm going to break rank a little bit and go for Luis Diaz. And he is going to be my first premium. Maybe, is he premium? I think he's... No, he's probably not premium at 8 mil. If you look at the people that's above him. Saka, Bowen. I don't think Bowen deserves to be priced above Luis Diaz. Maybe that's just because he had half the season. But anyway, there's my midfield. I'm going to start off with my goalkeepers here instead of defence first, just because I think they're particularly a little bit easier. I really like that Pope is priced at 5. I know a lot of people have said that look at Mendy, he's at 5. But there was a large chunk of the season, last season, where Chelsea leaked goals. They just couldn't keep clean sheets. And on the contrary to that, when what's the Newcastle manager came in? When the new manager came in, Newcastle's defensive record was incredible. So I am going to go for Pope, and he is quite an easy pick, I think. And you know what? I am quite happy with Sanchez as well. Does that put me on? No, that's too Brighton. So I'm going to add Sanchez because I quite like Sanchez. So there is my two goalkeepers, Sanchez and Pope. Now for the back 5. What is our... We've got 38 mil left. So let's have a look at what we can do with 38 mil. Cucurella, he's going to go in. He's similar to... He is similar to Bruno Guimaraes in the sense that he is an actual non-premium player that I want in my team. Cucurella was something crazy like 4th best defender in the league last season for bonus points. I know that there's a potential move to City, so if that happens, that might put some question marks on whether he starts, etc. But let's keep an eye on that. And I think he's in my squad. Well, he is in my squad. I've just put him in. So Cucurella's going in. Let's have a look for some non-premium defenders. So let's get rid of these. And we can start... Is 5 premium? I don't think 5 premium. 6 and above for a defender is premium, I think. So Tierney, no, he gets injured too much. Gabriel's got an aerial threat, but again, there's nothing that sticks out about Gabriel in particular that makes me think, yes, I need him. Matty Cash has some obvious attacking capabilities. We've seen that last season, so he's a possibility. Azpilicueta. Now that Chilwell's back, I don't know whether Azpilicueta will get a look in. No, that's the wrong side. That's Alonso on the left-hand side. So Azpilicueta is on rotation with Reece James, isn't he? So again, though, he's on rotation. I don't know how nailed on Azpilicueta is. Chalobah, Sarr, no one really sticking out. Kanate might be a decent one if you were going to go for non-premium. Liverpool, he's pretty much going to play most of the time. They're pretty good for a clean sheet most of the time. He's 5 mil. He might be a decent choice. So let's see. I'll keep him in mind, actually. Let's just go down the list and see if there's anyone else. Varane, Maguire, Shaw, Tellez. Don't trust any United defenders just yet. I think that is too much of an ask. Trippier. Trippier's going in. No, he's my 4th Newcastle player. Damn, okay, so do I want Wilson or do I want Trippier? I'm going to make an executive decision. Wilson is going to come out and Trippier is going to go in. I think Trippier starts. He's probably on free kicks, corners, and he's got that attacking threat as well. Whereas Callum Wilson, he is probably going to get replaced for my premium striker choice anyway. So that is Trippier in. So let's have a look now. Who can we bring in for Robertson? Langley. He's just been bought by Spurs, and I saw an interesting stat about him last season, or the season before, some stat about, I can't remember what it is, this is probably a really poor addition to the video, but it's a stat about his crossing and his attacking threat, and he's 5 mil, and I haven't got any Spurs. But does he start? I think he goes in to keep an eye on pre-season, see how Conte starts him, see how he plays, see how he does. But he might be on a rotation list. Fabian Schär gets replaced. And I am thinking, who have we got? 4.5s now. We're on the 4.5 mils. There's no one really sticking out. There's the Brighton players. Lewis Dunk, Veltman, Lamptey might be a shout. Fastest fullback in the league. It's just whether he stays fit or not. And I've already got Cucurella, Caicedo and Sanchez. Oh, this is going to be tricky. There's no one from Everton. There's no one from Crystal Palace that I really like the look of. Maybe about from Mitchell. What is Mitchell's fixtures like? No. Arsenal, Liverpool, then City in game week 4. Then Man United in game week 7. Chelsea in game week 9. So, yeah, Crystal Palace are a hard avoid, I think. You've got to avoid Everton as well. I think we're going to have to do the same and work our way back up the list a little bit. So we've got Wolves. Did I hear that Wolves have got some good fixtures lined up? No, they've not got great fixtures. I mean, they've got Leeds and Fulham for their opening 2. Then Bournemouth in game week 5. But in between that, they have got Tottenham, Newcastle. Then they've got Liverpool, then Liverpool, Man City and Chelsea between game week 7 and 10. Again, I'm going to have to avoid them, I think. So, let's move to page number 1. Zinchenko, Ake, Kyle Walker. You know, I'm going to stick Kanate in. I'm going to stick Kanate in. And then that leaves me with one final defender. I've got 26 million in the bank to play with. Oh no, I've just taken Wilson out, so that's going to be skewed slightly. Perisic at 5.5. Do I go for Perisic at 5.5 if I've got Longley in there as well? And Perisic is about 57 years old. Maybe Matty Cash? But did I not say that his fixtures were pretty poor? Game week 5 to 7 really puts me off. But Bournemouth, Everton and Crystal Palace, I don't think I can do. I don't think I can do it. I don't think I can do Matty Cash. So, this leaves me in a predicament for my final defender. Do I just go... I'm just going to go premium now, I think, because I'm only going to take one out anyway to put premium in. My premium choice is going to be Robertson. I think Robertson and Trent get roughly the same amount of points this season, roughly the same amount of starts this season. He's 0.5 million cheaper. That doesn't sound like a lot, but 0.5 is going to be key. There is an argument to say, do you go Van Dijk instead for a whole million cheaper than Trent? But I think just for attacking returns, Robertson is the way to go. So Robertson is an easy addition to my squad. So there we have it. We've got a full 11 of mostly non-premium. No, we haven't got Callum Wilson replacement. So let's put my premium player in now. And this has been the age-old question for a couple of weeks now. Do you go for Haaland, or do you go for Kane, or do you go for Darwin, or do you go for Jesus? I think if you are the kind of player that is thinking between Kane and Haaland, go for Kane. He is He is established in the league. He's probably going to be there or thereabouts for the Golden Boot at the end of the season. But interestingly enough, this morning I noticed that his ownership is 16%, whereas Haaland is 65%. So, yes, some of you will say, but if Haaland does really well, he's going to run away with it in your league. But again, by the end of the season, they're probably getting roughly the same amount of points. And if you find out that Haaland is smashing it right from the very get-go, you can always swap him. Their fixtures, what are Tottenham's fixtures again? Southampton, they've got Chelsea, but then they've got Wolves, Nottingham Forest, West Ham, then Fulham. They're not bad. City, I've got West Ham, Bournemouth, Newcastle, Crystal Palace, Notts Forest. Okay. I think it's there or thereabouts. For me, I prefer Kane just for his ownership. My actual favourite attacker, the one that intrigues me the most, is Gabriel Jesus at the moment. He's a class player. I think he just didn't get the run of games that he needed to under Pep, but there is no doubt in his ability. He's going to start every single game for Arsenal. There is no way that Jesus sits on the bench for Arsenal, and he's 8 million. 8 million. So I think if you can, I'd probably want to try and get Kane and Jesus in the midfield, but then you run the risk of losing that space for getting Kane and Jesus up front, but then you do run the risk of running out of money for the midfield. So let's put Jesus there, and I am gonna take Watkins out, I think, and I'm gonna put Kane in, because automatically now I'm starting to feel better about this squad. Jesus, Kane and Buemo up front. I've got Guimaraes, Norgard, Odegaard, Luis Diaz, Caicedo. That is probably missing a Kevin De Bruyne or a Mohamed Salah. So one of those players will probably go and be replaced with Mo Salah, I'm thinking. Is that Odegaard? Have I even got enough money to replace Odegaard with Salah? So if we select the replacement. Oh, I've got £500,000 left, but too many players from Liverpool, because I've got Konate, Robertson, Luis Diaz and Salah. So then, do I need 2 defenders from Liverpool? Maybe not. So let's take Konate out, because Robertson is, if you're going to pick between Konate and Robertson is the no-brainer here. So let's replace him, and let's see what we've got. Do we go for Chelsea? Do we go for a Reece James? Do we go for a Chilwell? Diaz from City, maybe? Have we got any City defenders? No. Laporte at 6. He might be worth a shout. What was the points like? Laporte with 160. Diaz with 141. They're both 6 mil. Cancelo at 7 mil, but with 201 points. I don't even think I've got the space. No, I've got 5.5 mil now that Konate's come out. So I am John Stones. I don't really fancy John Stones. Don't really fancy Alonso. So now, how do I make it work? Do I move Longley down to a rock bottom player? Because I'm probably not going to play any more than 4 defenders anyway. And I'm quite happy playing Robertson, Cucurella, Trippier and Laporte, Cancelo, James. Let's see what that looks like. Cancelo. Take out Longley. And I've got 3.5. So I fucked it, haven't I? So let's choose instead of Cancelo. So realistically, I'm probably going to play a 4-4-2. So there's an argument to say, do I take Mbeumo down to a rock bottom to give me more money? But then I would like a third attacker just in case, and I think Mbeumo is there. He's a good caliber for that. So maybe I take Norgard out, drop him to someone really low that still I know would play. So if we head right down to the 4.5s, what have we got here? We've got some Nottingham Forest midfielders, which I don't know anything about at all. Murphy for Newcastle. These are all really poor. See, okay. What do you guys think about Andreas from Fulham? He would play, because they've just bought him for something like 8 mil plus some add-ons. Is this Andreas Pereira, by the way, actually? Yes, it is. I think he might be a dark horse, you know. He's a quality player. He's been playing really well in Brazil last season when he was on loan. He's going to start. He's 4.5 mil. He might be a great 5th midfielder. So actually thinking about it, Andreas is going to go in. Which then gives me 11.5, which means Cancelo has to go in, right? Cancelo has to go in. If I've got 11.5 to play with, Cancelo goes in, and that leaves me with 4.5 to play my 5th defender with. So let's go down to 4.5. Let's see the best pick of the bunch in the 4.5 list. So we've got the Arsenal, Cedric. Did he play much last season? Or did he play every game last season? He might have even played every game. Holding, White, Tomiyasu. Tomiyasu looks alright. But I don't know whether he'll start. I don't know enough about Arsenal's defence, really, to make a educated decision. I can't go for any Brighton because I've already got 3 Brighton in there. This is difficult because Crystal Palace is an avoid. So, do we go... How many Newcastle have I got? Bruno, Trippier, Pope. So I've already got 3 Newcastle, so I couldn't go for someone like Dan Burn. Maybe we pull a punt and go for someone like Malacia at United. And just see how he plays. If it doesn't work out, we could maybe go for Dalot. Dalot's probably not up there on the attacking returns. But you've got some Leeds players. You've got Firpo, you've got Struijk, you've got Koch, you've got Llorente. You've got some of these Leicester defenders as well. Amate, Castagna. The only problem that I had with Leicester defenders last season is you never knew who was going to start. But this is a 5th defender, so it doesn't really matter. We could go for someone like James Justin or Castagna. Let's go for Castagna. And that isn't really anything other than me remembering what he did when he first came to Leicester, and he got a few assists. He looked quite attacking, but I'm not too fussed. Now that might be a little bit of a cop-out. You might feel that was a little bit rushed, but I think overall I'm happy. My squad would probably be something like Pope, Cancelo, Robertson, Cucurella, Trippier. I need to stop saying Trippier. Then probably something like Bruno Guimaraes, Salah, Diaz, and then dependent on the fixtures, either play one of Andreas, Caicedo, or Mbeumo, with Jesus and Kane always up front. So it'd either be a 4-4-2 or a 4-3-3, dependent on the fixtures, but with Luis Diaz, Salah, and Bruno Guimaraes as my solid midfielders. Now, other people that you could have gone for: Kevin De Bruyne instead of Salah, Kevin De Bruyne instead of Luis Diaz, if you could get your money to stretch that far. You could look at people like Foden, but I think 8 mils maybe a little bit too expensive. There's people like Kulusevski, Son, Bruno. Depends on what happens with Ronaldo, but Fernandes could be someone that you look at. So I think there's a couple, but I think for my Tinker Team version 1.0, I think I'm quite happy with that. I do. I think I'm quite happy with that. So that is my Tinker Team 1.0. I really like that team, actually. That's quite a good team. So that is my Tinker Team 1.0. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for watching. I told you I'm not going to edit this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I will be back again in a few days once I've made some changes. Stayed awake till 2 in the morning thinking about my squad and how I'm going to change it. Did that allow me to make that change? Yes, it did. You can't see it because I've changed the screen, but yes, there we go. I have my starting 15. But yeah, thank you very much, and I will see you again very soon. Until then, good night.